Do you remember Sid, how he lived with a tummy mummy when he was a baby? She had stars in her eyes, which stopped tummy mummy from seeing what Sid needed. He was living with his new mummy and daddy, and they'd been helping him find the shadows in his heart. This story is about one of those shadows. Sid had a little problem, which was turning into a really big problem. No matter how sleepy Sid would be at the end of the day, Mummy and Daddy said bedtime, and something a bit funny would happen. An alarm would go off in Sid's head. The alarm was one of those shadows. Instead of feeling sleepy, all of a sudden Sid would feel wobbly, stressed, panicked, scared. He didn't feel at all like he could sleep. Sometimes the alarm would come out of his mouth with a big shout, sometimes in a big scream. He would be so scared that he wouldn't want to go upstairs to bed. The idea of being upstairs by himself was so scary that even though he knew Mummy and Daddy might get cross, Sid would refuse to go to bed. Sid didn't want to make Mummy and Daddy cross and tired. He wanted to go to bed, but he felt all wrong and he was too scared to go upstairs. Mummy and Daddy had gone to visit Barnow. They told her about the sleeping problem. Mummy and Daddy had told Barnow that a long time ago, before he could talk, Sid used to live with a tummy mummy. Because Sid was so very little and couldn't speak, Barnow explained that this meant he couldn't remember in words any of the things that happened when he lived there. Barnow listened as Mummy and Daddy explained how Sid gets tired, but his mind seems too scared to go to bed. Barnow thought that maybe in his old house, tricky things had happened after bedtime. Barnow explained that our bodies are very good at remembering what our words can't. She thought that Sid's clever body remembered how scary things happened after bedtime in the old house, and his body was working really hard to protect him. That's why the alarm would go off in his head. His body was telling him going to bed wasn't safe. And nobody wants to go to bed when they're feeling scared. Barnow suggested they need to help Sid's body learn that he was in a safe place now. Here are some of the things they did. Mummy and Daddy let Sid know how they understood about the alarm before they'd tell him it was time for bed. Mummy and Daddy, Sid and Evie all go upstairs at the same time, so Sid isn't alone. Sid had a special fluffy blanket. When his eyes are closed, he can stroke the blanket. It reminds him that he's safe at home. Mummy sprays her perfume on his pillow so that even when his eyes are closed, his nose can tell him where he is. Mummy and Daddy play special music to help Sid remember where he is. Before he goes to sleep, Mummy or Daddy reads him a special story that helps him feel sleepy. So Sid, Mummy and Daddy tried all these things. Learning it was safe enough to go upstairs to bed is like learning anything. It can take a little while. It was hard for Sid because he'd been so frightened at bedtime when he was just a tiny lamb. But in the end, Sid learnt that he was safe in his home with his forever Mummy and Daddy. And now he can drift off into dreamland, just like all the other little lambs. The end.